Videos like these don't get views. You can check the comments right there, you can check the number of likes, but you can also go to my profile and see how many views this video actually has. The reason why is because I'm going to explain a central idea from a book, specifically Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death, which conveniently the idea that I'm going to be explaining explains why videos like these don't get views. The first chapter in Amusing Ourselves to Death is titled The Medium is the Metaphor. Now, what does that mean? A medium is just a singular version of media, which is plural. So social media is actually multiple forms of mediums of communication. So we're having a conversation right now. Metaphorically speaking, this is a conversation that is a little bit odd. Mostly when we think about a conversation, we think about two people talking in front of one another. But this conversation is unique. This conversation, I'm speaking to my phone. I can't see you, but you can see me. But you can't talk back to me, even though I'm mostly talking to you. The ways that you can respond to me are through this like button, or through the comments. You can save this. But the most active way and the most critical way of responding to me through this conversation is by doing what you're doing right now, which is just watching. Now, so what we can clearly see is that there are certain features to how this conversation operates. But if we were to discuss with one another through writing each other notes, there would be different features within that conversation. Maybe the time that it would take for those notes to be delivered, or the process of handwriting them before we send them. There are a number of ways of having a conversation. Neil Postman is having a conversation with us, even though he is dead, because the way or the medium that he's having this conversation through is through written literature, which can live on beyond someone's actual life. Now, what does this mean? The title of the chapter is The Medium is the Metaphor, but metaphor for what? What Postman is talking about is popular culture, and how the mediums through which a culture has its conversations then shapes the conversations and the culture itself. So for example, I have very nice cheekbones. I get compliments about it all the time. I'm not saying that this is something I think about myself. This is something that I get a lot of feedback on. This is one thing that I get on this app is more people watching me because my cheekbones happen to be oriented in a certain way. Other people who might be smarter or more credible, specifically around talking about especially mental health, aren't going to get that same amount of attention because they don't have those same cheekbones. The reason that my cheekbones are important on this platform is because it's really emphasized in the conversation. But with Neil Postman's argument, it doesn't matter how ugly Neil Postman is, it doesn't matter how attractive Neil Postman is, because Neil Postman isn't evaluated for his argument based on his cheekbones with a book. With a book, we only rely on his words. That's a way that the medium we use to have our conversations in a culture therefore shape the messages of the culture itself. I can say whatever I want. I can talk about what I did this morning. I can talk about anything. But there are certain messages that are going to get views, that are going to get attention, and that are going to get evaluated on this platform, which is different from what's going to be seen as important or credible or valuable on this medium. So in this way, my cheekbones become a metaphor for the culture. We don't tend to think about how the mediums that we use to learn about things affect our ability to learn. When we want to learn about Neil Postman, we could watch a TikTok video about it, we could read a book on it, we could watch a YouTube video, and we don't necessarily think that the medium has that much of an influence on the message, but it does. But especially that influence is amplified when it's not just individuals, but an entire culture. What you are doing right now is you're listening to me explain an idea that takes context, it takes nuance, and it takes pause. You are nearly 4 minutes into a TikTok video, which is kind of radical. And the reason why is because this platform biases towards short-form content without context, without nuance, and without pause. That's how they make them so addictive. That's how you don't remember the last 10 videos that you just saw, right? So I can technically talk about whatever I want, but that's not an idea. The idea that I'm talking about right now is not an idea that's convenient to express on these platforms. So no matter how interesting or relevant or important these ideas are from Neil Postman, they're not going to be important to the popular culture because the mediums that the popular culture are using favor different messages. I want you to imagine a group of people that you hate. It could be a political party, it could be a side of your family, it could be a group of people across the world doing terrible things. You might think that you hate no group of people, but really settle with this. Do you think there's ever been a group of people that you would consider bad? Think about bad people. Think about those. I want you to imagine that I hate those people too. That message, that I hate those people too, that's instantaneous. And that's a message with energy. that's a message that you want to pay attention to. And it doesn't matter how contextual, how nuanced my argument is, or if there's any pause considering before that emotion. If I hate them too, you understand that, and that becomes very clear. That's a message that's convenient to express on these platforms. Very clear good guy, very clear bad guy, clear energy, clear engagement, and it gets views. What Neil Postman is saying is that the mediums through which we have our conversations that are favored in a culture are metaphors for what the culture values and finds as important. If we all use a platform that, for example, makes political polarization very easy to do, messages of political polarization become the important messages of that culture. So that's why videos like these don't get views. Unless they happen to start with a hook or headline like videos like these don't get views, which makes it so that there's maybe a small chance that this video did, because some people want to prove me wrong. If this video did go viral and you found some sort of value in these ideas, you can consider yourself lucky, evidenced by the fact of your own experience that it's quite rare for people to watch 6.5-minute videos. But chances are this video didn't go viral, and you're the 1% of the 1% still watching this. And if you are, I just want you to know that just because an idea is popular in the culture does not mean that it is right. Have a nice rest of your day.